Hello, everyone. This is Nathan again, coming to you from the Philippines. I'm a counselor here in Quezon City in Metro Manila, and I've been counseling for the past 14 years now. And my website is onelifeonly.net. And for those of you who don't know me, this is a video version of my blog post, which is published in my website. And also, if you are more interested in just listening to this, it will also have a podcast version on Spotify. Okay. So I guess you would probably have guessed if you're new that what I do is all about psychology. All right. So let's start with me just reading to you what I wrote for this week. And the title of the article that I published on my website is Common Sense and Psychological Sense. So here you go. As I learn more in the field, I can understand why some people might have a negative view of psychology. Besides the stigma, a lot of us have a fear of being called crazy, right? There is plenty of material out there that can make any person think. Do you really need a PhD to know that? So I'm not sure about you guys, but with me, when I was still kind of starting to get interested in psychology, I was thinking, well, whatever that psychologist said on TV sounded like something that anybody should be able to figure out on their own. It makes a lot of common sense. So in this article, I'd like to talk about some examples of how this happens and why much of the common sense advice we hear online or in other mediums can at best be heard but reflected on before implementing. Here are some examples of very common sense advice we all may have heard about at some point. Number one, a common sense or logical approach to sadness or depression. Eliminate negative thoughts. Think positive. Well, this will work only if we eliminate a function of our thinking, which is thinking the opposite. You and I can test this for ourselves. Tayo, we live in a tropical country, di ba? Philippines. Note what thoughts come to you when the heat and humidity become unbearable. Your mind will probably remind you of how much more pleasant the weather is in the cooler months of the year. During the cooler months, you would probably remember the impending summer months and how short lived these more pleasant temperatures are. This is our mind's propensity to think of opposites. For our minds to not be able to do this, we would have to damage it in some way. Thinking positive will only remind us of the negative thinking that we were trying to avoid in the first place. Diba? So, kung mainit sa summer, you think about kailan ba matatapos to. Kung malamig naman sa December or January, nag-iisip tayo na sana summer na, sobrang lamig. Or sana tumagal na ito kasi malapit na yung summer. Depending on what you prefer. So that's just how the mind works. If I say black, you will think white, right? If you're on a date, you just broke up with your previous boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, uh, you you're you know your mind will automatically think, oh, this person is similar to my ex or quite the opposite, diba? So here's another reason why it becomes difficult for you and I to simply think positive. In fact, it can be counterproductive. The command here is it is important for you to not think that negative thought. The paradox of this command is that it makes you monitor your thoughts, specifically your negative thoughts. So, how do you know you're successful? You're not thinking of oops, the negative thought, right? In other words, simply using common sense to not think about a negative thought already reminds you of what you are avoiding in the first place. And it has taken such an important place in your mind. The war between positive and negative thoughts is unending. One thing for certain is life will provide us with challenges which inevitably produce negative thoughts. This is part of what we mean when we say that depression is not really due to sadness, but it is mostly about the struggle with sadness. Thinking only positive thoughts may sound logical by the process of elimination, but it leaves us in a losing war with our feelings, which will only disappear if we are in a state of numbness from medication or if we were dead. One famous act therapist would say we like to do things that only dead people can do better, or the dead man's dream. Okay. So another example here, the second one I'm going to talk about is the common sense advice we mostly hear about sleeping problems. Be prepared to go to sleep. Keep it as dark as possible with just the right temperature and dead silence. What's more, follow a routine of taking a warm shower or a hot bath and make sure you have comfortable clothes. The fact that you are getting prepared to go to sleep means you are primed and anxious for the battle with your insomnia. If you are prepared for a battle, it goes without saying that you will be what? Awake. I remember in the early days of my work as a therapist, I used to give one piece of advice to conquer insomnia. Try not to sleep. In other words, to come to an acceptance of your insomnia, and you will probably be more able to sleep. So, common sense advice, as mentioned above, may only serve to keep you awake than it is to help you get the rest you want. Lastly, couple advice on apologies or using formulaic sentences. Pretty much a lot of it is common sense. Be quicker to forgive or apologize to your partner or spouse. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? That sounds pretty much common sense. That's a common statement we hear from different experts in the field. When taken as a rule for its own sake, it forgets about the different contexts that couples have. As I mentioned before in a previous article, context does not just refer to a physical location, but also people and our very own thoughts and memories. If applied without sensitivity to context, this can lead to misinterpretation and even more loops in couples' arguments. A quick apology can be interpreted as insincere, just as a quick word of forgiveness. It's easy to say words we don't mean, but body language is harder to disguise. This can lead to more vigilance from one of the partners and more frustration on the other. One is seen to be insincere while the other is perceived to be unappreciative. which leads to the point of them giving up on each other. Diba? So, parang, hmm, meh, apologize pero hindi naman sincere. Hmm, nag-forgive pero parang hindi naman niya na-appreciate yung apologies ko na napakahirap gawin. Di ba? So, yon yung nangyari. And then, sabihin ng isa, no, wala na talagang pag-asa to. Etong isa naman, kahit naman anong gawin ko, ganun din ang reaction niya eh. Hindi man nagbabago eh. Alright? The kind of psychology I espouse is not difficult because it takes a lot of effort. It is difficult because it is tricky. As you might have experienced yourself, common sense advice can be effortful and offer more opportunities for discouragement and escalation to even bigger problems. So, like, oh, this is how you're going to stick to a diet. But of course, all of this is common sense advice. Eventually, you're not able to do it 100%, or you'll fail magnificently sometimes. So that can lead to high levels of discouragement and eventually cause even bigger problems. So, to paraphrase a famous psychologist, we are not in therapy to do the logical thing, but the psychological thing. So, next time you hear someone give common sense advice, please either think critically or try not to generalize. You may even give it a try if you wish, but also be more noticing of the results. What makes psychological sense may not be what common sense dictates. And that's the whole point of this blog post or this video or this podcast. Okay. So again, this is Nathan Chua signing out now from Quezon City here in the Philippines. Please visit my website, onelifeonly.net, if you're more interested. If you have interested in pursuing counseling yourself, and don't forget to like and subscribe so people can find out more people can find out about this channel, and it's all free for you. I'm This is part of a free service that I give to everyone. I'm not making any amount out of this. I only have very few subscribers. This is quite a a chunk of work for anyone who wants to learn more about psychology, and I would really appreciate people come out and listen to this or watch this. All right. Okay. You take care and hope to see you soon again.